Hey everybody, Volta stock fell over 23% today. And this is really something, this was a really insane crash that they kind of had here today. We've had days where Volta has fallen quite a significant amount, but it hasn't really been anything to the level of almost 24% in one day. So really this stock has totally crashed here today. If you take a look over the past month, you can see it's really gone downhill very quickly quite recently. And I know a lot of people are wondering what really caused this dramatic sell-off here. If you look along the top here, you can see kind of the broad market indexes here. The S&P 500, you've got the Dow, the Nasdaq. All of these are down quite significantly today. And if you take a look at some of these other EV charging companies, EVgo here down 5.3%, pretty significant for this stock as well. A very similar kind of looking pattern to Volta. You take a look at ChargePoint, they're down almost 8% today. Same sort of a thing, a really sharp decline more recently here. Take a look at Wallbox. This stock is down it's down 12.5%. Same sort of a chart. You take a look at Tritium, down over 16% today. And again, that chart is just trending downward. Not as sharp as, Volta's here, where it has really happened within the past couple days here. But still, nonetheless, all of these EV charging companies are all sort of in the same situation where their stocks are getting totally destroyed recently. Now, as far as today's particular sell-off goes for Volta, I haven't really been able to find any particular piece of news that really kind of justifies Volta's, more extreme sell-off in comparison to a lot of these other EV charging companies. So I think it really does come down to a lot of these risks associated with Volta's future at the moment. Volta has guided for their Q3 revenues to come in lower than where their Q2 revenues are, so the company is really no longer growing their revenues anymore. So revenues will be declining quarter over quarter, according to their guidance. And then their cash is just really running out. And they've been cutting down their number of full-time employees to try and reduce their expenses. And that'll save them some money, but their selling, general, and administrative expenses are still going to be a pretty significant amount, even though they will be smaller. But they'll still continue shredding through that cash that Volta has remaining, and it's just going to get to a very bad situation for Volta here. And there's really been no clear answer as to how Volta is going to get out of the situation they're in right now. Now, of course, with the stock being down so much over the past few days here, the share price is now well under $1 per share. And the significance of that is that $1 per share is kind of the minimum threshold that the New York Stock Exchange allows for stocks to be traded on their exchange, basically. So you can see that if a security's price closed below $1 per share for 30 consecutive trading days, then the exchange will initiate the delisting process. So a lot of people are reasonably concerned about what might happen to their Volta stock if this ends up getting delisted. I think a lot of people are unfamiliar with how this delisting process works, and I myself am no expert on this, but going off of some of this information here, this pretty much tells you mostly everything you need to know here. We already touched this point here. If they close below $1 per share for 30 consecutive days, that exchange will initiate the delisting process. And then, of course, there's some other factors that might cause the New York Stock Exchange to initiate a delisting process. But here for Volta, of course, the main concern here is that $1 per share issue here. We can see in this section that if a company fails to maintain the terms imposed by the exchange on which it's listed, they'll receive a perfunctory non-compliance notification letter, but that company's stock won't be immediately evicted from the exchange at that time. Rather, that letter serves as an invitation for the offending corporation to reply with a description of the actions it plans to take towards addressing the delinquencies in question. If the exchange accepts those terms, then they'll monitor the company's financial progress to ensure its milestones are met in a timely manner. But if the company fails to respond within 10 business days of receiving that notification letter, then the exchange will just swiftly proceed with the delisting process. So basically what will happen here is that if Volta stock continues trading under $1 per share for 30 consecutive days, then that delisting process will start up, but they won't immediately be delisted. You'll still be able to trade the stock just like normal. But if Volta does end up failing to respond to the New York Stock Exchange within 10 days of receiving their delisting letter, then the New York Stock Exchange will go ahead and proceed on with the delisting process, and eventually the stock will no longer be listed. But if Volta does go ahead and reply to the exchange with this description of actions they plan to take to address their delinquency, which is having their share price be under $1 per share. If they address that and the New York Stock Exchange accepts the terms of that plan, then Volta stock will continue trading for a considerable amount longer, a number of months, I believe. So the stock won't immediately be delisted. It's kind of a longer process, but there is definitely a very significant concern here for Volta as far as that goes. And then once the stock, if it does end up getting delisted, then it's really a very bad scenario for Volta, because of course they're no longer on a public exchange, and it's going to be much harder for people to invest in Volta essentially. So that's where we're at with Volta stock today, down almost 24%. Definitely a terrible day for a lot of these EV charging companies and the broader market overall. But yeah, Volta kind of took first place here as far as the crashing competition goes with these EV charging stocks, which isn't something you really want to be winning at, but that's, it is what it is. I don't own any Volta stock, and I don't plan on buying any. It's way too risky for me. Obviously, the stock has fallen a lot over the past year. A lot has gone wrong in a very short amount of time for Volta. Not only the stock, but just the company itself. Having trouble raising their money and burning through cash, and having to reduce a lot of their full-time employees. Overall a very unfortunate situation that has happened here with Volta. I hope the company's able to kind of turn things around here, because I do like Volta's business model. I think it's very unique. But that's where we're at, and hopefully everybody enjoyed the video here today. If anybody watching has more knowledge on the delisting process, then please be sure to share that in the comments. I think everybody watching would be very interested in hearing about that. And that's where we're going to leave it off here for today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the video. I've got a lot of other videos on Volta and a lot of other EV charging companies as well on this channel, so be sure to check some of those videos out, and I'll see all of you in the next video.